What does the parable of the talents really say about your money? Not what you heard in church, not what you were told as a child, what it actually says, when you read it the way a judge reads evidence. Because here is the case before us today. The defendant lost nothing, not 1 cent. He was handed a fortune, guarded it with his life, and returned every last coin intact. And the judge looked at him and said, "Wicked. This is the strangest trial in the entire Bible. A man is condemned for keeping money safe. Today, we are reopening the case, the charges, the defense, the evidence. And this time, you are the jury." The court calls Matthew chapter 25. The defendant lost nothing, not 1 cent. He was handed a fortune, guarded it with his life, and returned every last coin intact. And the judge looked at him and said, "Wicked. This is the strangest trial in the entire Bible. A man is condemned for keeping money safe. Today, we are reopening the case, the charges, the defense, the evidence. And this time, you are the jury." The court calls Matthew chapter 25. Here are the facts of the case. A wealthy master prepares for a long journey. Before he leaves, he divides his fortune among 3 servants, to each, the text says, according to his ability. The first receives 5 talents, the second, 2, the third, 1. And understand what a talent was. Not a skill, money. 1 talent was roughly 20 years of a worker's wages. 2 decades of income, handed over in a single bag. Exhibit A. The first servant trades with his 5 talents and doubles them. 10. Exhibit B. The second does the same. 2 become 4. And the defendant? The third servant digs a hole in the ground, buries his master's money, and waits. Years pass. The master returns and settles accounts. The first 2 hear the exact same sentence, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." The third hands back his talent, complete, untouched, not a coin missing. And the master calls him, "Thou wicked and slothful servant." Wait! Wicked? He didn't steal it. He didn't gamble it. He didn't lose it. Every instinct in your body says this verdict is unfair. Good. Hold that feeling, because that instinct is exactly what this trial is about. Let's hear the defense, and listen carefully, because the defense may sound familiar. The servant explains himself in 1 sentence. "I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth." Afraid. That's the whole defense. Fear. And honestly, isn't it a reasonable one? He was protecting the money. Markets are risky. Trades can fail. The ground doesn't crash. The ground doesn't lie to you. He chose safety. And in his mind, safety was the responsible choice, the prudent choice, maybe even the faithful choice. So before we see the evidence, I want your vote. Right now, in the comments, is this man guilty or not guilty? Lock in your answer, because in the next 5 minutes, the evidence is going to test it. The prosecution presents 4 exhibits. Exhibit 1, verse 27. The master's own words, "Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury." Read that again. The exchangers were the bankers of the ancient world. Usury is interest. In the story Jesus chose to tell, The character representing the master says the bare minimum acceptable move was to put the money where it earns interest. Most people have read this parable their whole lives and never noticed that the Bible's most famous investing instruction is sitting right there in verse 27. Exhibit 2. The size of the sum. 1 talent. 20 years of wages. The defendant wasn't guarding pocket change. He froze 2 decades of income in the ground. The bigger the amount, the bigger the cost of doing nothing. Exhibit 3. And this is where modern forensic accounting enters the courtroom. Buried money doesn't stay the same. It shrinks. At a typical 3% inflation, money loses roughly half its purchasing power in about 24 years. The servant believed he returned the talent intact. In real terms, he returned less than he received. The hole in the ground was not a vault. It was a slow leak. Exhibit 4. Opportunity cost. While his talent slept, the other 2 servants doubled theirs. The verdict in verse 28 is brutal and precise. Take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10. Money flows toward those who put it to work. That's not just theology. That's how compounding behaves in the real world. Every single day. By the way, if seeing 2,000-year-old scripture hold up as financial evidence is why you're here, this is what this channel does every week. 1 second on the subscribe button keeps the court in session. And now, the sentencing. The court asks the defendant to rise. Look at the chair. There's no servant in it. There's a mirror. Because this trial was never about a man from 2,000 years ago. The money sitting in your checking account right now, earning almost nothing, is a talent in the ground. The savings you keep safe in cash, year after year, while inflation quietly files it down, is a talent in the ground. And the defense you would give is word for word the same one he gave. I was afraid. Afraid of losing it. Afraid of starting late. Afraid of choosing wrong. Fear dressed up as prudence. It's the most honest financial confession in the entire Bible. And it's the one the judge refused to accept. Here is the verdict of this court. The third servant is guilty. Not of losing money. Of letting fear make his decisions for him. But notice something the harsh ending hides. The master gave to each servant, according to his ability. He never demanded that the man with 1 talent produce 10. He demanded movement. The servant with 2 was praised with the exact same words as the servant with 5. The size was never the standard. The action was. So run your own numbers. Say you're 50 years old, starting from zero. $300 a month into a simple diversified index fund at around 7% is close to $100,000 by 65. Is that 10 talents? No, it doesn't have to be. The parable never asked you to be the 5-talent servant. It asked you not to be the one with the shovel. Dig it up. Whatever your talent is, dig it up. It is not too late. It was never about how much you start with. It was about refusing to bury it. Now, Jesus told a story about money you bury, but Solomon left a warning about money you sign. One signature on the wrong line. That can take everything you dug up and hand it to a stranger. It's the closest thing the Bible has to an outright financial prohibition, and almost nobody has heard of it. The ancient ban on co-signing. That's the next video. It's on your screen right now. And before the court adjourns, if you're watching this channel without subscribing, that's a talent in the ground, friend. One click puts it to work. It's free, and it tells YouTube to deliver the next money law of the Bible the moment it drops. Worth knowing, worth growing. Court adjourned.
I owe my time.